You're now watching a clip from the Inspired by show. You can watch the full episode on our YouTube channel or listen on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to head over there, leave us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed it, and follow the show. What's it like in the music industry though? Because I've heard, horror stories of like women in the music industry and what it's like trying to stand out. How has it been for you, especially not being from the UK?
I have never had any, for example, xenophobic experience, thanks God. Like, I have to say, I'm absolutely obsessed with your country. Like, I love your culture, I love you people. Don't love the men that much. No, I'm joking. I love you people. That's just a joke. I'll always speak about it later. But yeah, I love here. It's like in another life, maybe I was English, I don't know. But for me, the biggest struggle I had here was not even being an immigrant, because I never felt that, but being a woman. Definitely being a woman. You always kind of have to have a man by your side. Your manager maybe, or your booker, like your booking agent. Someone has to be a man. I feel that difference still. You work with a lot of men as well. So if you don't know how to kind of position yourself, they can take things in a weird way. Or sometimes they don't validate what you have to say, or they can go flirty and then you have to cut them off. That happens a lot, and it's so unpleasant because I'm very professional and I have a little bit of this like masculine energy in me where, I'm not flirtatious at all. Like when I'm in the work environment, I'm working, and I will not flirt to people just to make them fall in love. Like I believe in my talent, and I think that my talent is enough for you to fall in love or not with my art. I'm a nice person. I love making friends, but flirting is not in my league. So even though you feel vulnerable as a woman of being objectified, you always have to kind of hold and be careful to not be objectified or just put aside or devalidated of what you have to say, or even abused or harassed. Yeah. So yeah, definitely there is some horror stories. That's true.
That's the bit that I struggle with, because it's such a fine line, isn't it? Because a lot of people see any performers, we enjoy your music, we enjoy your presence, like podcast hosts, it's like, how far do you pry, And I can imagine for a lot of performers, I wouldn't be surprised if some women have been felt pressured to flirt to get further, to cross that line. How have you found that as your experience? You mentioned there about being harassed, being abused. What's that been like from your experience as someone that isn't from here?
In the UK, I didn't have that. The abuse I didn't have in the UK, like in work, I didn't. People are very courteous with me. Like, I don't know if it's from my posture, so they don't cross that line. But the harassment, definitely. I had a couple of situations of, thinking that someone is giving me an opportunity, to produce something, and then there is always shall we grab a drink after? And I'm like, honestly, try something new. Do you know what I mean? That's so bad. Why you don't know how to just keep things different? Like, I know that there is people who is going to blame women and say, because nowadays women are this, women are that, but we're individuals. I'm not you, you're not me. I think it's so complicated to generalize. I know we'd make jokes and say like, oh my God, all guys are like this or all women like that. But joking is one thing and actually acting on something is another. And it's vile. It's really vile. The problem is that because there is some people who actually put themselves in that situation of going there and flirting to have an opportunity or objectifying themselves to call more attention. Artists like me that don't do that struggle. Do you know what I mean? There is a struggle there, because then, why you're not exposing your body? Like, if you go on my Instagram now, you're barely going to see my body being exposed. You'll see sensuality. That's nice. I like being sensual. I'm Latina. There is a fire in that. I love that. I want to explore it even more, to be fair. I think it's nice. Sensuality is beautiful. We have the feminine power, and that's so beautiful. But there is such a thin line between the sensuality and going to the sexuality and the ultra sexuality and the OnlyFans thing. And then because of all of that, women that feel comfortable in being in the way I am, for example, not exposing so much, we struggle to be heard and seen, and maybe even respected.
Yeah. I can really imagine, and obviously not as a musician, but as a speaker, I had very similar experiences where not as many women speaking on stages, and so a lot of women would maybe have cleavage out, and I'm not against any of that, like if that makes them feel happy, but I've never ever done that, not because I don't want to, I just don't feel like I need to, and I love that some women do, but I agree with you that we have to be careful that we're not setting up a trend. So for example, those that don't have a disadvantage.
Yeah, and I think we are already in a trend. I know few girls that are not on OF or doing anything in the same kind of scale. A lot of normal girls, like girls that are not even in the entertainment, girls that are accountants or students, they are all literally exposing their bodies on social media like there is no tomorrow. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. And I feel quite sad to see this, because I think the moment that you put yourself like that in this kind of like objectified position, it's difficult for you to be heard by your ideas, because unfortunately we are in a society that still is extremely misogynistic. Is that how you say?
Yeah.
So if you go out there with massive boobs out, if it's not the right place for you to be like this, I think it's gonna be so much more difficult for you to be heard and seen.
Yeah.
Your boobs are gonna be seen. Your boobs gonna literally enter the room before you.
Yeah.
And maybe you're not gonna enter with it. Just it's gonna stay in the boobs.
Yeah.
And that's horrendous. Like, in my opinion, my career, just like oversharing an idea, I think it's beautiful. Like Britney Spears, for example, she was super sexual back in the 2000s, outrageous. Christina Aguilera, outrageous. But they were inside of their art, not, on their, do you know what I mean? Do you know where I'm going to? Like, not walking down the streets in that same way. I don't know if you know what I mean. Nowadays, I see that this hypersexuality turned into a trend, and instead of empowering us, in my humble opinion, is taking the power away from us, because we're not being seen anymore as respectful. Unfortunately, society is seeing us even more as like crazy little rebel girls that are loving showing boobs out. Like,
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the way I always look at it is, it depends on what you want to be known for, right? So if you want to be in the line of work where you are like a lingerie model, for example, or you are, selling your body in a career that makes you happy, then why should people not do that? But where I struggle, similar to what you've said, is when they're say musicians, they want to be known for their music, but instead of being known for their music, they're being known for their body, And for me, it's about building a brand. Like, what do you want people to say behind your back? Are they saying, wow, her boobs look great? Or are they saying, oh my God, wasn't her song incredible? That's the difference.
I think that that's one of the things I love the most. Like, I'm always very careful of how I position my product. I do think I can be more sensual and explore more my femininity. I think I'm very like, not showing my body and stuff. Like, I think that that's a little bit, I could go a little bit further, and I'm starting to feel more comfortable to do so. But what you said is so true. Like, if you don't balance this, and if you don't know what you are and where you're positioning it, you just get lost. It's like, you're just going to be seen like that. And something funny, a lot of girls think that they are rocking because they are, showing their bums on bikinis out there on Snapchat, Instagram, everything. I have a lot of male friends, and when I talk to them about it, none of them would have a relationship with any of these girls. They would love seeing the videos for sure. I'm pretty sure of that. But none of them would step up and say, oh yeah, I would date an OnlyFans girl. And I was like, yeah, that's what I mean. You have to kind of be careful where you step in. And once again, my music, I speak a lot about women empowerment and self-empowerment, which doesn't matter your gender. And I think the moment you are putting yourself in that situation, you're kind of losing your own power.
Yeah.
I'm not a great fan of OF and this type of stuff. I think that actually it would be so good if it disappeared, basically, because Yeah, I think we were so much more powerful when we were not showing our bodies to call attention. And actually
Yeah.
we were using our voice